There comes a moment in every seeker's life when the world outside seems unmovable, when the person you desire feels distant, distracted, or entirely unaware of the depth of connection you hold within yourself. And yet, beneath the surface of what appears to be separation, there is a silent magnetism unfolding, a hidden pull you may not see with the eyes, but you can feel with the heart. You imagine their presence, and something within them stirs. You think of their voice, and something within them begins to shift direction, almost like an invisible hand turning their attention toward you. They do not know why they feel this sudden urge to check on you, to think of you, to search for you. But the truth is that you have already set that movement in place through the power of your inner state. What you feel deeply and consistently becomes the seed from which reality is shaped. There is no distance too far, no silence too long, no story too broken that cannot be rewritten from the inside. The moment you turn inward and occupy the state of being desired, loved, chosen, and cherished, you activate an unseen current that travels directly into the consciousness of your specific person. They begin to sense you, not merely as a memory, but as a present reality. They feel you in the quiet moments when they are alone. They recall your presence while doing mundane tasks. And they catch themselves wondering what you're doing, how you've been, why your energy feels closer than before. They search for you without understanding that it is your inner assumption guiding their emotion. Your mind is the origin of every connection. There is no such thing as a one-sided feeling when it is born from the depth of imagination. Every thought you persist in becomes an echo in the mind of the one you desire. When you think, "They are looking for me now," that thought does not vanish into air, it becomes a subtle impulse within them. When you affirm, "They can't stop thinking about me," you are not trying to influence their free will. You are moving into the version of yourself where this has already happened. And when you become that version, life reorganizes itself to match the state you have claimed. There are infinite versions of your specific person. There is a version where they ignore you, another where they are neutral, another where they are uncertain, and yet another where they are drawn to you with intensity, longing, curiosity, and desire. You do not chase them in the external world. You merge with the version of them who is already seeking you. You imagine from the end, from the fulfillment, from the calm certainty that you are already loved. And as you do this, your energy changes, your frequency changes, the way you feel about yourself changes. And as your inner state shifts, the outer must follow, because the outer world is nothing but a mirror of your inner assumptions. When you declare within yourself, "My person is drawn to me even now," you are not trying to create a new truth. You are acknowledging what is eternally true. Desire is a bridge between two minds. When you think of them with love and certainty, they feel a soft tug. When you picture them choosing you, they feel a subtle warmth and can't explain why you suddenly feel important. When you imagine them messaging you or showing up unexpectedly, they feel a growing desire to reconnect. And when you say with conviction, "They will look for me without knowing why," you awaken the deeper consciousness that connects you both. Do not measure this power by appearances. The physical world is slow, delayed, and sometimes misleading. If you chase validation in the 3D world, you reinforce the idea that something is missing. But when you turn inward and claim the state of fulfillment, you no longer look for scraps of attention. You become the source of the energy that pulls everything toward you. You do not wait for signs, you become the sign. You do not hope for movement, you embody the movement. And as you stand in this inner knowing, your specific person begins to sense a shift in the unseen. They may wake up one morning with an unexplainable urge to check your social media. They may be in the middle of a conversation and suddenly your name pops into their mind. They may feel nostalgic out of nowhere, remembering a moment with you they haven't thought about in months. They may try to focus on their tasks, yet your presence gently intrudes into their awareness. They may even resist it at first, wondering why the thought of you feels so persistent, so magnetic, so emotionally charged. But they cannot escape the pull, for it is not coming from the outside. It is arising from within the shared field of consciousness. The world calls it coincidence, but you know better. You know that every time you entered the mental scene where they reached out, where you felt their arms around you, where they confessed their longing, you were not imagining a fantasy. You were stepping into a parallel reality that already exists. And the more you return to that inner scene, the more solid it becomes. You are not trying to force change, you are selecting the version of reality that matches your desire. Your specific person becomes the reflection of your inner conviction. When you see yourself as wanted, they feel the desire to want you. When you see yourself as chosen, they feel compelled to choose you. When you see yourself as unforgettable, they feel unable to forget you. When you affirm that they are seeking you, they feel the pull but cannot explain it. That is the beauty of this unseen connection. Your work is inward, silent, effortless, while their response is outward, visible, undeniable. There is no need to ask how it will happen or when it will happen. Just as you do not question how your heart beats or how your lungs draw breath, you do not need to question how the invisible power brings your person back to you. The moment you assume the state of already being desired, the mechanism begins to operate automatically. Life begins to shift in your favor. The smallest details rearrange themselves to orchestrate the reunion. A memory triggers a thought triggers an impulse triggers an action. And suddenly, what felt impossible a week ago becomes natural, effortless, and inevitable. You do not chase, you attract by being. You do not plead, you claim by knowing. You do not worry, you relax into certainty. And in your relaxation, the energy becomes irresistible. When you embody love, you pull love toward you. When you embody confidence, you awaken desire in others. When you embody the fulfilled version of yourself, you dissolve all resistance and allow the universe to deliver what is already yours. There is nothing special you must do, no rituals, no techniques, no timelines. The only requirement is the inner choice to feel the end result now. Feel what it is like to be the one they search for. Feel the warmth of knowing you matter to them deeply. Feel the joy of seeing their name appear in your notifications. Feel the excitement of knowing they cannot stay away. Feel the certainty of being the one they think about when they lie down at night and the first one who comes to mind when they ache up. The inner feeling is the creative act. One imaginal moment of deep conviction is more powerful than weeks of physical effort. A single assumption sustained within you can pull a person across cities, across fears, across doubts, and across their own resistance. They may not understand why they feel this pull, but they will follow it. They will be drawn to you like a magnet to its source, for the energy that created them and you is the same energy that unites you both. Imagine their eyes searching for you. Imagine them scrolling through their contacts, hesitating for a second, and then feeling a sudden urge to press your name. Imagine them typing a message, deleting it, typing again, thinking about you with a mixture of desire, nostalgia, and curiosity. Imagine them wondering how you've been. Imagine them feeling a spark of longing so real that they cannot ignore it. And imagine them finally giving in to the pull, reaching out in a moment where you least expect it, but always knew would happen. This is not fantasy, this is creation. Creation begins and ends within you. You set the tone, they respond. You hold the assumption, they reflect it. You keep the inner knowing, they experience the outer impulse. And as you remain steadfast in your inner conviction, the world conforms in ways so subtle and yet so precise that you cannot help but marvel at its accuracy. There is no force in the world stronger than the energy of someone who knows their worth. When you embody the state of being desired, the world cannot help but respond. You stop fearing loss because you understand that nothing can be taken from you when you are the source. You stop fearing rejection because you know that the version of reality you choose must manifest. You stop doubting because you recognize that doubt is only the shadow of your old assumptions, not the truth of your new state. The moment you decide that your person is thinking of you, the connection begins to tighten. The moment you claim that they want you, the desire awakens within them. The moment you affirm that they will look for you without knowing why, the universe begins moving every piece to make that statement true. And when they finally appear, whether by message, call, or unexpected encounter, you will understand that it was your inner world that made the connection inevitable. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the one who sets the direction. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are choosing the reality in which you are already chosen. And the one you desire cannot escape the pull of the version of themselves that you have selected. They merge with the vision you hold. They respond to the energy you embody. They feel the emotions you radiate from your inner state. Hold the end. Live in the end. Feel the end. And the end will become the beginning of a new chapter in your life. A chapter where they search for you, crave you, desire you, and return to you. Not out of obligation, but out of an unexplainable, irresistible pull that originates from the depth of consciousness itself. In this moment, claim it. Speak it within yourself. My person is looking for me now. They feel me. They desire me. They are drawn to me with a magnetic pull they cannot explain. Feel the truth of those words. Let them sink into your being. Let the energy expand within you. And as you do, the connection strengthens, the bridge forms, the path clears. Soon, very soon, they will look for you. They will wonder why thoughts of you feel so intense, so constant, so alive. They will sense the shift and they will follow it. And when they finally reach out, you will know that it was not chance, not luck, not coincidence. It was the power of your inner state manifesting with precision. They will K for you without knowing why, because you have already chosen the reality where they do. And what you choose within must appear without. And as you breathe into this inner knowing, you will begin to feel the subtle shift inside yourself, a calm assurance rising within you, as if something deep and ancient is reminding you of your true creative power. This feeling is not imagination, it is recognition. You are remembering the truth about yourself, that your inner world directs the outer, that your assumptions shape the behavior of others, and that your state of being is the silent command to which the world must respond. You may not see anything changing at first, but understand that the moment you adjust your inner state, the movement has already begun. The outer world is slow, dense, delayed. It takes time for the physical to rearrange itself, but the unseen realm responds instantly. The moment you shift into the state of being wanted, the connection between you and your specific person becomes charged with new energy. They feel it like a whisper brushing against the edges of their awareness. They pause. They sense something. They feel a pull that wasn't there yesterday, a curiosity that wasn't present before, a warmth that begins to grow each time your name comes to mind. This is the beginning of their search for you, not because you forced anything, not because you begged or chased or tried to influence, but because you became the version of yourself who is already loved. And in that becoming, you awakened a new version of them, a version who finds themselves thinking about you at unexpected hours, a version who wonders why they feel a heaviness when they don't check on you, a version who feels incomplete without hearing from you, a version who cannot shake your presence no matter how busy their day is. And they try to rationalize it, but they cannot. They look for logic, but there is none. They ask themselves, why am I feeling this? Why am I thinking of them now? But the answer is not in their conscious mind. The answer is in the vibration you hold. You have entered the state where you are naturally sought after, naturally desired, naturally chosen. And the moment you step into that state, the world mirrors it back without fail. You are not manipulating anyone. You are simply selecting the reality where you are the priority, where you are the one they cannot ignore, where you are the one who occupies their mind even when they try to focus elsewhere. This inner selection is the true act of creation, and once you claim it, everything begins moving toward this chosen end. You may notice small signs at first, not because signs are needed, but because they reflect the internal shift. You might feel sudden waves of peace. You might feel moments of deep certainty. You might lose the urge to check on them. You might stop worrying altogether. These are the first alignments, the inner confirmations that you have stepped into the reality where they are already searching for you. Meanwhile, within them, the changes unfold quietly. They might hear a song and think of you. They might drive past a location and feel a sudden ache in their chest. They might see something that reminds them of a moment you shared. They may feel a sudden impulse to revisit old conversations or photos, and each time this happens, the urge to reach out grows stronger. This is not you forcing something, it is the natural response of consciousness aligning with the state you've embodied. There is no separation between minds, there is only one unified field of awareness taking on different roles. So when you feel yourself as the one they desire, they feel the corresponding pull to desire you. When you imagine them reaching for you, they feel the need to reach. When you embody the feeling of being missed, loved, and sought after, they feel the absence of you, a need for you, the longing to reconnect. You do not need to act, push, or question. Your only task is to remain in the feeling of your chosen reality, to live from the end, to allow the energy to settle into certainty, to rest in the truth that you are already wanted beyond measure. And the more natural this state becomes to you, the stronger the pull becomes within them. People often think they must do more affirmations, more techniques, more repetition. But the truth is simpler. The power lies not in words, but in the state behind the words. One moment of genuine inner knowing outweighs hours of mechanical effort. One flash of feeling the wish fulfilled carries more creative force than thousands of anxious affirmations. It is the state that creates. It is the feeling that moves realities. It is the assumption that writes the script. And when your assumption is they are looking for me now, you shift into the timeline where this is already unfolding. They begin to feel your energy not as a memory, but as a presence. They begin to think of you not occasionally, but persistently. They begin to desire you not lightly, but intensely. They begin to seek you not consciously, but instinctively. They may not even understand why they feel what they feel. They may try to distract themselves, but the thoughts return. They may attempt to focus elsewhere, but your presence breaks through. They may tell themselves they've moved on, but the longing proves otherwise. Your energy fills the silent spaces of their day until searching for you becomes the only relief. This is the power of inner alignment. This is the power of living from the end. This is the power of stepping into the version of yourself where you are loved unconditionally. You do not have to convince them to come to you. You do not have to convince yourself that it's possible. You simply choose the S, state where it is already done. And every moment you return to that state, you reinforce the bridge between you, a bridge they cannot resist crossing, a bridge they feel as a pull, a desire, an ache, an instinct. They will look for you without knowing why, because the reason exists only in the unseen, in the imaginal act you have already performed, in the state you consistently inhabit, in the reality you have selected within yourself. And so, everything continues to unfold in perfect rhythm. You hold the state shapes the energy shapes their impulses, the impulses lead them toward you, not by force, but by resonance, not by logic, but by attraction, not by effort, but by inevitability. And as this unfolding continues, something within you begins to stabilize into a quieter, deeper confidence. You stop wondering whether they will think of you because you can feel it happening already. You stop imagining the worst because the inner certainty is stronger than any external appearance. You stop checking the time, the phone, the signs because you've shifted from hoping to knowing. This knowing is the true creative force, not loud, not dramatic, not desperate, but calm, steady, absolute. The world outside may still appear unchanged for a moment, but you no longer react to appearances. You no longer measure progress by what you can see. You measure it by how your inner being feels. And when your inner being feels fulfilled, chosen, wanted, and sought after, you have already crossed into the version of reality where your specific person is moving toward you. The most powerful shifts happen when you no longer feel urgency, when you no longer wonder when it will happen, when you no longer question whether you are doing something right, when the thought of them feels warm, not painful, when imagining them with you feels normal, not distant, when the I, Nena seen feels more real than anything in the physical world. That is when the desire becomes inevitable. That is when the connection becomes undeniable. That is when their search for you begins to intensify. They may resist it at first, not because they do not care, but because they cannot logically explain it. They may tell themselves they are busy, but the thought of you cuts through their busyness. They may try to distract themselves with people or activities, but the feeling returns stronger. They may try to rationalize the sudden wave of emotion, but no rational answer satisfies the pull they feel. They may even try to ignore it, but ignoring it only makes it grow, because this pull is not born from their conscious mind. It is born from the reality you have chosen, the state you occupy, the energy you radiate effortlessly. You have become the version of yourself who is already loved, and in becoming that version, you awaken the version of them who cannot help but move toward you. This movement may begin silently. They may scroll through their phone and pause on your name. They may type a message and then close the app, unsure why they feel nervous. They may ask mutual friends about you casually, pretending it's nothing. They may check your profile and quickly exit before they feel too exposed. They may lie awake at night with a feeling of emptiness they cannot identify. They may be going through their day when suddenly the memory of your smile flashes through their mind so vividly that they have to stop for a moment. All of this is the beginning of their search for you, not dramatic, not forced, but natural and inevitable. Meanwhile, your inner world continues to expand with certainty. You may find yourself smiling at random moments, feeling connected to them from within. You may sense their thoughts, their longing, their hesitation, their growing desire. You may experience moments of intuitive knowing, as if you can almost feel what they are feeling. This is because you are connected in consciousness, and the bridge between you is strengthening every time you return to the feeling of being wanted by them. You do not need to imagine the entire journey. You do not need to visualize every detail. You only need to feel the end, the feeling of being desired, the feeling of being important, the feeling of being the one they cannot forget. This feeling is the root of every movement. The feeling is the creative cause. The feeling is the energy that enters their awareness and stirs their heart. You will begin to notice that the inner scenes become easier to step into. They feel familiar, as if you have lived them already. You will feel less resistance, less longing, less doubt. The inner world becomes your true home, and from this home, the outer world reshapes itself effortlessly. And then something interesting begins to happen. The old version of them stops feeling real to you. You no longer think of them as distant or indifferent. You stop replaying old stories or old situations. You stop feeling the pain of the past because the past no longer holds power. You begin to feel only the version of them who loves you, who thinks of you, who is drawn to you. This shift is not forced. It happens naturally as your state solidifies. And when the old story fades within you, it fades within them as well. Their memories begin to soften. Their past resistance begins to dissolve. Their heart becomes open without them understanding why. This is the invisible transformation that occurs when you live from the end. You may not see the moment it happens, but you will feel its effects. The inner peace you feel is not random. It is a reflection of the new reality taking shape. Your energy becomes more attractive, more magnetic, more rally, and they feel this alignment as an undeniable urge to reconnect. They may begin by checking on you quietly, observing you from a distance. They may ask themselves what you're doing, who you're talking to, whether you still think about them. The more they wonder, the stronger the pull becomes. Curiosity becomes interest. Interest becomes longing. Longing becomes desire. Desire becomes action. All of this happens without you lifting a finger, without you chasing, without you trying to prove your worth, without you doing anything in the external world. You simply remain in the inner state of being sought after. And because this state is the true cause of all outcomes, the world must reflect it. This is the quiet, subtle, and yet powerful unfolding that leads them back to you, an invisible path formed not by force but by consciousness, a magnetic pull created not by effort but by assumption, a reunion initiated not by strategy but by inner certainty. And as this pull continues to strengthen within them, they will reach a point where ignoring it becomes impossible. The desire to see you, speak to you, hear your voice, or reconnect with your energy will become overwhelming. The urge will move from thought to action. They will begin to search for you in direct ways, reaching out, messaging, calling, showing up, asking, seeking. They won't be able to explain why the feeling is so strong. They won't understand why you suddenly feel important again. They won't know why they feel like something is missing without you. But you will know. You will understand. Because you created this shift within yourself long before it appeared in them. You have become the cause. They have become the effect. And the unfolding continues naturally, inevitably, beautifully, according to the inner reality you have already accepted as true. And as the days move gently forward, the invisible pull intensifies, not because you are doing anything more, but because you are doing less. You are no longer trying to convince yourself that they want you, you simply feel it as truth. You are no longer imagining from desperation, you imagine from familiarity. You are no longer reaching outward, you are resting inward. And this inner rest is the very energy that draws them closer, 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 until they can no longer deny the impulse that rises from within them. You may notice that you think of them in a calmer way now, as if the emotional charge has been replaced with certainty. Your mind stops racing, your heart stops aching, the longing is replaced by an inner warmth, as though the connection is already established. This shift is powerful because it removes the illusion of distance. When you no longer feel far from them within yourself, they no longer feel far from you in the physical world. This is the subtle transformation that happens automatically when your state becomes aligned with your desire. You cannot force this shift. You cannot fake it, but you can allow it. And once allowed, it begins to shape everything around you. Your thoughts become clearer. Your emotions stabilize. Your energy becomes more attractive. And your specific person begins to feel that shift, first as a quiet curiosity, then as a growing desire, and eventually as an undeniable push toward you. Often, right before your specific person reaches out, something very unusual happens. You feel a surge of confidence without any external reason. You sense movement even though you have seen none. You feel connected without any physical proof. This inner shift is the true evidence of manifestation, the proof that the bridge of events is being constructed behind the scenes. It is a whisper from the unseen world telling you that everything is aligned, everything is moving, everything. NG is unfolding exactly as it should. Your specific person begins to feel the energy you are radiating, not in words, not in visions, but in pure vibration. They feel your calm, they feel your certainty, they feel the silent invitation of your inner state. They may not understand why they suddenly feel comforted when they think of you, or why recalling your presence brings an unexpected sense of safety. But these feelings grow because feelings are the language that consciousness understands. You do not need to appear physically for them to feel you. They feel the version of you that you embody in your imagination. They feel the love you have assumed. They feel the connection you have cultivated. They feel the emotional signature of your state, and the more they feel it, the more they seek it. They may begin to dream of you, waking up with your name still lingering in their mind. They may feel nostalgic at unexpected times. They may find themselves comparing others to you without intending to. They may experience random moments of missing you, moments so strong they have to stop and breathe. All of this is natural. All of this is normal. All of this is the direct reflection of your inner state. You are not pulling them with force, you are calling them with identity. You have shifted into the version of yourself who is chosen, and so they respond to the call of that version. You have become the embodiment of desire itself, so they feel drawn to you without needing a reason. Many people believe that love returns through logic, but love returns through energy, through state, through self concept, through the silent conviction that you are already the one they want. And when this conviction settles inside you, the outer world rearranges to match it because it has no choice. You may notice that you are no longer bothered by delays, because in your inner world, the E is no delay. There is no waiting. There is no distance. You feel as though your specific person is connected to you right now. You feel as though their thoughts are gently brushing against yours. You feel as though the relationship already exists in the unseen, waiting only to be recognized in the physical. This is not imagination. This is creation. Creation does not require physical interaction. Creation does not require external proof. Creation requires only one thing, the acceptance of your desired state. Once accepted, the outer world must conform. The people involved must play their roles. The version of your specific person who desires you must rise to the surface because you have selected that version within your consciousness. And as you continue to embody this state, your specific person becomes increasingly aware of your presence. They may try to ignore the feeling, but it returns stronger. They may try to rationalize it, but no explanation satisfies them. They may try to distract themselves, but the distraction fades quickly, because this is not a passing thought, this is alignment. The heart recognizes what the mind tries to deny. The soul recognizes what the ego tries to question, and consciousness recognizes the version of reality that has already been chosen. Soon, the thoughts they have of you become more frequent. The pull becomes more emotional. The longing becomes more personal. They may feel a sudden urge to reach out, then hesitate. They may feel excitement mixed with confusion. They may wonder whether you still think of them, and this wondering becomes a spark that leads them to take action. Even their hesitation is part of the bridge. Even their uncertainty is part of the unfolding. The inner journey they take mirrors the inner journey you once took, but because you have already reached the state of certainty, they are now beginning ears. Their heart moves first, then their mind. Their emotions awaken first, then their logic tries to catch up. Their desire rises first, then their actions follow. And as this inner stirring becomes stronger, they begin to realize that not reaching out is more uncomfortable than reaching out. They begin to feel that silence is heavier than connection. They begin to understand, in a way they cannot articulate, that the path forward leads to you. This is the subtle transformation that happens long before you receive the message, the call, the visit, the confession. The physical action is simply the final step in a process that started within you. It is the echo of the state you chose. It is the reflection of your inner world. It is the natural outcome of your decision to embody the version of yourself who is already loved, already wanted, already sought, already chosen. And as the days unfold, this inner certainty becomes so gentle, so natural, that you barely notice the transformation occurring within you. You are no longer imagining a relationship that feels far away. You are living the emotional atmosphere of a relationship that already exists. Your inner world stops asking when and begins whispering now. The inner dialogue shifts from hope to recognition, from desire to fulfillment, from seeking to knowing. This is the silent moment where the outer world begins its rearrangement, not as a sudden miracle, but as a quiet alignment that has been building with every assumption you have accepted. Your specific person senses this alignment in ways they cannot articulate. They might go about their day and suddenly feel a wave of warmth, a feeling of being understood, or a subtle sense of connection that they cannot explain. They may wonder why they suddenly feel calm when they think of you, why the thought of you brings an unexplainable comfort, why your presence in their mind feels like home, even if they haven't seen you in a long time. These emotional impulses do not arise from logic. They arise because you have shifted into the version of reality where they feel these things for you. The more you dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the more the version of them who loves you rises to meet you. It doesn't matter what happened before, it doesn't matter what words were spoken or what mistakes were made. Consciousness is not concerned with the past, it responds only to the state you occupy now. And when you occupy the state of being loved, the past becomes irrelevant. You no longer react from wounds or memories or disappointments. You respond from fulfillment, and that fulfillment becomes the magnet that draws them in. Soon, the emotional pull within them intensifies. They start remembering things you said in casual moments, things they forgot they remembered. They replay interactions that seemed insignificant at the time, but now echo with meaning. They find themselves smiling at memories that return without warning, feeling warmth in moments they rarely thought of before. They may try to brush the feelings away, but every attempt only makes the pull stronger. For why? All have entered their inner world not through force, but through identity, and identity cannot be resisted. You may notice that your days feel lighter, as though an invisible weight has been removed from your heart. You begin to sense that something is moving, shifting, aligning. You wake up with an unexplained feeling of anticipation, Not a nervous anticipation, but a calm one, as though your inner world is preparing you to receive what is already on its way. This anticipation is not imagination, it is recognition. You are becoming aware of the movement behind the scenes. Your specific person feels this movement too, though in different ways. They may feel restless without knowing why. They may feel drawn to check your social media, to look at your photos, to think about reaching out. They may catch themselves wondering what you're doing at random times during the day. They may even experience brief moments where they feel your presence as though you were standing nearby. These experiences are the result of your inner state radiating into their consciousness, calling forth the version of them that matches your chosen reality. You do not need to interfere, analyze, or question these movements. They are happening naturally, because consciousness always seeks harmony. When you embody the version of yourself who is chosen, consciousness must bring forth the version of your specific person who chooses you. This is not manipulation, this is alignment. It is the meeting of two states that were always capable of merging, now finally allowed to do so. There comes a point where the sense of separation dissolves completely. You no longer feel that they are out there and you are in here. Instead, you feel as though you are sharing an emotional field with them, a kind of energetic closeness that transcends physical distance. You feel their thoughts brushing against your awareness. You feel their emotions rising in response to yours. You feel their heart opening in tandem with your inner conviction. This is the state where manifestation becomes undeniable. In this state, you may notice that the world around you begins to reflect subtle signs, conversations you overhear, songs that play around you, synchronicities that appear without effort. These are not coincidences, they are the symbols of your inner state echoing outward. They are gentle markers showing you that the bridge of events is unfolding exactly as it should. Meanwhile, your specific person begins to feel a deeper need to connect with you, not merely a desire, but a need. They may feel incomplete without understanding why. They may feel that something essential is missing from their life, and this feeling grows until they recognize that the missing piece is the connection with you. They may feel compelled to reach out, even if they hesitate at first. But the hesitation becomes uncomfortable, and the idea of staying silent becomes heavier than the idea of taking action. And eventually, the emotional pressure becomes too strong to ignore. They may find themselves picking up the phone without planning to. They may start typing a message, erasing it, typing again, feeling the inner urgency rise. They may feel nervous in a way they haven't felt before, a nervousness that comes from wanting something deeply. They may not fully understand why they feel such a strong pull toward you, but they no longer need to understand. The heart has already made the decision. And as you keep living from this inner certainty, you will notice something else happening. The world around you begins to echo your new conviction. You will hear songs, see signs, feel impulses that align perfectly with your inner knowing. You will feel guided, supported, carried by an unseen hand. Even moments that seem unrelated will suddenly fit together like pieces of a grand design. You will begin to understand that nothing is random, nothing is accidental, and nothing is separate from your inner state. Everything is a mirror. And when your inner state is saturated with the feeling of being chosen, wanted, sought after, the world must become the stage where your SP plays the role you have already written in imagination. You will not have to force them, chase them, or convince them. The law does not need convincing, it needs acceptance, it needs embodiment. And when you embody the state that says, they cannot help but seek me, desire me, and move toward me, then something shifts in them, not on a conscious level, but on a deeper dimension where impulses and desires are born. They will begin thinking thoughts that feel like inspiration but are really echoes of your inner creation. They will feel drawn to you without understanding why. They will remember moments with you without trying to recall anything. They will feel curiosity about you without any logical reason. They will wonder what you're doing, where you are, who you're with. They will feel a pull so natural, so quiet, yet so persistent that it becomes impossible to ignore. This is the secret of influence. Not physical effort, not persuasion, but inner alignment. The person who aligns themselves internally becomes magnetic externally. The one who decides within becomes irresistible without. You must understand that your SP cannot escape the state you hold about them, because consciousness is one. What you hold true in yourself becomes the impulse in them. What you assume they feel becomes the feeling they discover within themselves. That is why you must think only from the end, only from the certainty that they seek you, long for you, and feel compelled to come closer. When you imagine them missing you, you are not forcing them to miss you. You are aligning with the version of yourself who is deeply missed. You are becoming the reality in which they naturally feel that longing. And soon that longing becomes action. They start checking your old messages, looking at your pictures, rereading things you said, feeling emotions that rise unbidden. They may try to distract themselves, but even in distraction, your energy follows them. Because you planted the seed in imagination, that seed must grow in them. The pull becomes stronger than their resistance, stronger than their logic, stronger than their excuses. You must trust this process even when you see nothing happening. The unseen is always moving before the seen catches up. The invisible shifts before the physical aligns. Think of a seed buried beneath the soil. You cannot see its transformation, yet every moment it is becoming what it is meant to be. The same is true with your SP. You may see silence, but beneath that silence, something powerful is unfolding. They are becoming drawn to you, shaped by the state you live in. Every assumption you hold is molding them from within. Every inner conversation you have with them is imprinting itself on their subconscious. Every loving vision you imagine is becoming their natural response toward you. This is why your discipline matters. Not discipline of effort, but discipline of imagination, discipline of attention, discipline of inner speech. You must speak to them in imagination as though they are seeking you, as though they are telling you how much they miss you, how they can't stop thinking about you. Feel the warmth of that exchange. Feel the closeness. Feel how natural it is. Because when you feel it in war, lie, it becomes their reality outwardly. They begin to think the very thoughts you plant. They begin to feel the emotions you send with your inner focus. They begin to act in ways that align with the story you accepted as true. You may wake up one morning and feel a sudden wave of warmth, a sudden sense of closeness, a sudden calm certainty. And that is the moment your assumption has taken root. That is the moment your inner conviction has become dominant. And soon after, they will move, they will reach out, they will try to reconnect, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes boldly, sometimes unexpectedly, but regardless of the form, it comes. Because the pull of consciousness is magnetic and cannot fail. There will be moments when you might be tempted to look at the 3D world and doubt, but doubt is only the echo of an old state. You can ignore it as easily as you ignore a dream upon waking. The old state will dissolve as soon as you stop feeding it with attention. The new state becomes your identity, your home, your truth, and from that truth everything flows. As you continue to dwell in this state, you will notice the subtlety of its effects intensifying. It is not always a loud, dramatic movement, but a quiet, irresistible pull that seems to come from nowhere. They may feel a sudden urge to think of you, to check on you, or to remember a shared moment. They may feel compelled to reach out without realizing why. Even their distractions begin to dissolve, because the energy you radiate cannot be ignored. The mind may resist, but the heart answers instinctively to the vibration you have set in motion. You must understand that it is not the external effort that moves them, it is your inner alignment. Your thoughts, feelings, and assumptions act like invisible threads connecting you. Every time you imagine them seeking you, every time you feel the warmth of their desire in I am agination, you are pulling on those threads, drawing them closer. And as you continue this practice, the threads thicken, strengthen, and become impossible for them to resist. They feel drawn to you with a force that feels natural, inevitable, and unexplainable. The beauty of this process is that it requires nothing from you except presence. You do not need to plead, argue, chase, or manipulate. You only need to inhabit the reality where you are already desired, already wanted, and already sought. And the universe, which is nothing but a reflection of consciousness, must honor that state. Your SP's thoughts, impulses, and desires begin to align with your inner certainty. They begin to mirror your own assumption, even unconsciously, because the energy that animates you also animates them. You may notice it in the smallest ways: a glance that lingers too long, a message that seems prompted by thought rather than reason, an impulse to reach out that cannot be ignored. They may feel restless without knowing why. They may feel drawn to you even when they are busy. They may suddenly think of you at odd moments, wondering why your image has come to mind. And every one of these moments is a reflection of your inner state, your imagination given form in their experience. This is the unseen power of assuming the end. When you live as though your SP is already seeking you, their consciousness begins to respond. Desire is always drawn to its counterpart. Energy recognizes energy. The vibration you hold within yourself becomes the magnetic field that calls them into action. And this is how they begin to look for you without knowing why. Not because of logic, not because of external effort, but because the state you embody has created the cause to which they respond. You may find that their attention grows slowly at first. A fleeting thought here, a curiosity there, a feeling that rises unexpectedly. But as you maintain your inner state, these moments grow in frequency and intensity. They start to appear in your life with greater regularity. The pull becomes stronger, more persistent. The energy becomes undeniable. Even their doubts cannot withstand the force of the assumption you have made. And yet, you do not control the details. You do not need to. Consciousness takes care of the how, the when, and the where. Your responsibility is only to remain in the state of being loved, sought, and desired, to inhabit the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to believe inwardly and live outwardly as if it has already occurred. The rest unfolds naturally, elegantly, inevitably. Every time you imagine them seeking you, every time you feel their longing in your imagination, you are planting seeds in the fertile soil of their subconscious. These seeds grow quietly, invisibly, until they sprout in action. A thought becomes a message, a feeling becomes a movement, a longing becomes a visit. And all of this occurs without resistance because you have aligned with the natural law that governs all attraction. Like attracts like, and the inner state always manifests outwardly. The key is to persist without anxiety, to remain confident even in apparent silence, to feel the fulfillment as if it were present right now, to see with your mind's eye the version of them who cannot resist thinking of you, seeking you, and longing for you. Do not be swayed by the temporary appearances of reality, because the outer world is simply a mirror and will eventually reflect the truth you hold within. Their thoughts will intensify, their emotions will stir, their impulses will rise, and in time these inner movements will translate into visible actions. They will begin to seek you without even understanding why. The pull you have generated from within cannot be stopped. It is invisible, unstoppable, irresistible. As you maintain this inner certainty, you will find yourself growing calmer, more peaceful, more magnetic. Your energy will change, and the people around you will sense it. Your SP will feel it most of all. Their unconscious mind will resonate with the frequency you carry. They will be drawn to you in ways that feel mysterious, natural, and compelling. And all of this occurs because you have chosen the state of the end, the state of fulfillment, and the state of being sought after. Even small signs and synchronicities begin to appear. Moments that seem coincidental but are not. Encounters that seem random but are orchestrated by your inner state. These are markers of alignment, reminders that the inner work is creating outer results. They confirm that your SP's attention is turning toward you. They confirm that the magnetic force you have cultivated is beginning to operate. They confirm that your imagination is now shaping their reality. So now remember this above all else: the power to be sought, desired, and loved is not in their actions, it is in your state of being. The moment you embody the reality of being already loved, already wanted, and already chosen, you create an invisible force that draws them to you without effort, without persuasion, without explanation. You do not chase. You do not beg. You do not wait for them to remember you. You simply live in the state of fulfillment. and the universe moves in perfect harmony to reflect your inner certainty. Your SP will look for you without knowing why, because you have become the cause and they have become the effect. The outer world is powerless against the inner conviction. What you imagine with feeling, what you assume as truth, and what you embody as reality shapes everything, including the heart and mind of the one you desire. This is the ultimate law, that the inner state always manifests outwardly, that consciousness obeys the mind that knows its power, and that love always responds to the energy that calls it forth. So claim it, feel it, live it. Your SP is already on their way, guided not by chance, but by the irresistible force of your certainty. And when they finally appear, it will not be by accident. It will be the inevitable result of your imagination made real. You have the power, you are the cause, you are the magnet, and they will find you because you have already assumed it as done. The strongest message to hold in your heart is this: when you know you are loved and chosen within, the world and the one you desire cannot help but align with that truth.